Ever get that kind of creepy feeling when an ad pops up for something you were just thinking about, or how your favorite streaming service just knows the exact show you're in the mood for? Well, that's not magic, and it's not a coincidence. That's AI. And right now, it's a technology that is both the most exciting and maybe the most terrifying thing we've ever built. So which is it? Let's figure that out.
I mean, look at this. This is the fundamental conflict of our time. On one side, you have the visionaries, people like Demis Hassabis, who believe AI is literally the key to solving every other problem humanity faces. But on the other side, you have warnings from some of the greatest minds ever, like Stephen Hawking, who saw a future where we are no longer the smartest things on the planet. This isn't just an academic debate, folks. This is a battle for what our future is actually going to look like.
So before we go any further, what are we even talking about when we say AI? Let's get one thing straight. It's not about Terminator-style robots, at least not yet. At its core, it's about building computer systems that can do things that, until now, only a human brain could do. Things like learning, reasoning, seeing patterns, and solving incredibly complex problems.
And if you're sitting there thinking this is all some far-off science fiction future, I gotta tell you, you are completely wrong. You've probably interacted with AI dozens, maybe even hundreds of times already today, and you didn't even realize it. Seriously.
Just look at this list. It's basically a map of your daily life. Every time you search for something on Google, that's AI. The videos YouTube recommends to you, AI. The person you're yelling at to set a timer, Siri or Alexa, pure AI. It's everywhere, from the opponents you fight in video games to the tools that create unbelievable art from just a sentence. And you know, that's the thing about the most powerful technology. When it works really well, it just becomes invisible.
Okay, so we've established it's everywhere. But how in the world does it actually work? How does a pile of silicone and wires learn to think? Let's pop the hood and take a look inside the digital brain.
The secret sauce behind a ton of modern AI is this incredible concept called an artificial neural network. And yeah, it is pretty much what it sounds like. Scientists basically looked at the human brain and said, hey, let's try to build one of those, but with code. It's a massive, interconnected web of digital neurons that can process information and recognize patterns, kind of like ours do.
So how do you teach this digital baby brain? It's a process that's almost shockingly simple, but unbelievably powerful. First, you just drown it in data. Let's say millions upon millions of pictures of cats. The network then scrambles to find patterns. You know, pointy ears, whiskers, tails. It makes a guess. I think this is a cat. And at first, it's going to be terrible. But every single time it gets it wrong, a human tells it, nope, that's a dog. And the network makes a tiny little adjustment to its internal connections. Now, repeat that process millions or even billions of times. Eventually, it gets freakishly good at spotting cats. And that simple idea, learning from mistakes over and over, is the engine behind so much of AI.
So, if we can teach a machine to recognize a cat with near-perfect accuracy, what happens when we point that same incredible power at some of the world's biggest, most impossible problems? Well, that's when things start to get really, really exciting.
We are not just talking about more convenient gadgets here. We're talking about solving problems that have stumped the greatest human minds for centuries. I mean, AlphaFold 2 basically cracked the code of how proteins fold, a huge leap for biology and medicine. We're discovering brand new antibiotics to fight superbugs. We're finding treatments for diseases like Parkinson's faster than ever before. These are not small wins. These are monumental, species-altering breakthroughs. And it's not just what AI can do, it's the insane speed and scale. Just look at this number. 1,000x. What is that? That's roughly how much cheaper and faster AI has made the initial screening process for finding new drugs. That's not just a step forward, my friends. That is a complete game changer. And it's just one tiny example.
But, and you knew there was a but coming. For every one of these incredible, world-saving promises, there is a potential peril. A flip side to that coin. A set of risks so profound that we absolutely cannot afford to just ignore them and hope for the best.
Listen to this. When Geoffrey Hinton, a man literally known as one of the godfathers of AI, quits his high-paying job just so he can speak freely and warn the world about the dangers of his own creation, you gotta pay attention. He's saying the intelligence we're building is so different from ours, it's like an alien intelligence has arrived on Earth. We've built something that doesn't think like us, and we may not be able to understand or control it.
So where can it go wrong? Well, here's the fundamental problem. That AI we talked about, the one that learned from millions of cat pictures, it learns from data. And where does that data come from? It comes from our world. It learns from us.
which means it doesn't just learn our knowledge. It learns our biases, our blind spots, and all of our ugliest flaws. And this isn't some abstract theory. This is real life. Take the Compass algorithm, a system that was actually used in some U.S. courts to predict whether a defendant would commit another crime. The system was never explicitly told anyone's race, but by learning from decades of biased historical crime data, it taught itself that bias. The result? It was twice as likely to falsely flag black defendants as being high risk compared to white defendants. It's literally injustice automated. And of course, there's the big question on everyone's mind. What about our jobs? Are the robots coming for all of them? The honest answer is, nobody really knows for sure. You have credible studies saying nearly half of all jobs are at high risk, and other credible studies saying it's less than 10%. The only thing everyone agrees on is that a massive, massive wave of change is coming.
And that worry list, it just keeps going. We're talking about a world flooded with misinformation, perfectly realistic fake videos and audio that you can't tell from the real thing. A world where our privacy is basically a memory, because every device we own is constantly collecting data to feed the AI. The sheer amount of electricity these things consume is staggering. And then there's the big one, the one that keeps scientists up at night: existential risk. The fear that we might create something so much smarter than us that we simply can't control it.
So, wow, here we are. We're standing on the edge of a cliff. In one direction, there's a potential utopia where we've cured disease and solved climate change. In the other, well, something much, much darker. The big question for all of us is, what do we do now? Which way do we go?
Now, the good news is, we aren't just blindly walking off that cliff. The world is starting to wake up. Governments are holding summits, people are debating, and we're seeing the very first major loss, like the EU's AI Act, trying to put some guardrails on this rocket ship before it's too late. The race to regulate is officially on.
And this right here is the most important takeaway. This is not a spectator sport. The future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us. It's being built right now today by people. And the choices we make, the things we demand, the conversations we have, those are the things that will define what kind of world our kids and grandkids are going to live in.
So I want to leave you with a question, and I really want you to answer this down in the comments. What is the one AI breakthrough that gets you genuinely incredibly excited? And what's the one that truly scares you the most? Let's talk about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.